My school, as a requirement of coursework, a student is supposed to complete a personal project in order to pass O-level, which they call the middle years program. So, in order for the personal project to start or to rocket, the student has to conceive a proposal idea or an idea in general. This is how the conception for the campaign started off as for me, because they told me to write a proposal for an idea. So I had a sort of brain dump process where I thought of all my ambitions, all my hobbies, everything I'm interested in. Then the awareness campaign rose up and I wrote it down on the proposal, everything that I expected from the campaign, everything, what was my inspiration for the campaign, the timeline for the campaign, and I gave it in to the school administration to see if I would get a thumbs up or they would decline the idea. So obviously I got a thumbs up for the idea, and that's where it all started off. I was raised in a household where my parents believe you reap what you sow, and you fight for what you want to happen. I've been away from my country, to be honest, for a very long time. For most of my childhood, I was abroad, so I wasn't able to have that empathetic connection with Uganda. For the 5 to 4 years that I've stayed here so far, I've really felt connected to the country. I've discovered myself more as I grow in the country, and I realized that this was a problem that was greatly affecting the country that I had so much love for. So the school giving me this platform to develop a project enabled me just to put that interest on the table immediately. If I'm able to do this with people my age group, it would be better for the country in general. As a student, that's all I can do and that's all I can hope for. So I said, so as soon as I saw the opportunity show up itself, I just put up all my ideas in a sort of brain dump process, and an awareness campaign against corruption was what rose up from that thinking process, and that's what it all started from. Historical fact, is that corruption began a long time ago in Uganda. The story is Sir Harry Johnston, in order to get Sir Apollo Kagwa to sign the Buganda agreement, he bribed Kagwa with 100 cows for him to sign the agreement. This shows how embedded corruption is in our country and how it affected history in Uganda. After this event, Apollo Kagwa was resigned as regent of Kabaka Daudi Chwa. This was unfortunate because he was good at his job. It's just that the temptation of the 100 cows took him over, and it shows the immediate effect of corruption on an individual. I was a nervous boy, very scared of talking in front of an audience of S5 and S6s who were older than me and were more mature in terms of thinking. I stood in front of them. Of course, my first time I was a little bit rigid with the audience. I stood in one place, put the mic near my mouth and just talked the entire way. So from the feedback from that presentation was, they told me how I should make it more interactive. Because if I make it informative, it will be more like a teacher, like me being a teacher, me giving a history class. So if I'm able to make it interactive and involve the audience, the campaign will be more successful. And that's what I learned from Kabo, and it developed me as a person.
It has encouraged me to do a lot of things and to see forward and to see a better Uganda tomorrow, since it starts with me right now and right here. I really encourage everyone to do what he has just done to us in the campaign. It's high time we changed it. I advise each and everyone out there to go and do exactly what he has just been doing right now.
I'm actually so happy and being motivated by Imran's campaign against corruption, because it's actually my first time to see a fellow student of the same age standing in front of we, as a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. If Imran has started it, then it will actually follow to the highest level where we actually decampaign corruption. It will be very hard for us to decampaign corruption at higher levels. So it's better we start it with the youth level, actually at this early level, and then we shall grow up. Because by the time we are studying right now, we do study to become leaders in future. In that case, if we're studying to become leaders and we have that feeling of anti-corruption, then we shall make good leaders in future. And then we shall also join hands together with you and make something better, countrywide and worldwide.
The youth initiative, youth campaign against corruption is a unique initiative in school because it helps to shape the moral conduct of young people who are seen as the future leaders of this country. Our country is being rocked by corruption. The quality of our service delivery in the country has gone down because of corruption. Targeting this initiative to involve young people would be a rich idea because these are the future leaders of the country in the next few years to come, and it will show them the value and importance of studying, taking academics seriously.
He's on research on issues affecting young people like you.
Hello everybody. My name's Imran Mbowa. I'm 15 years old and I come from the... I come from the Aga Khan Academy, Mombasa. Yeah, I'm moving from S3 to S4. Yeah, the equivalent of S3 to S4 there. I'm here today to launch my youth awareness campaign against corruption. Oh yeah, I'm doing this campaign because I believe that corruption is a vice that's tormenting our beloved country. And I feel that when you need to kill a vice, you nurture the young and not the old. I urge you all to come and appeal to the message. It will be a presentation you won't forget. So come one, come all. Thank you so much.
I went to Lubiri Secondary School. There was a more developed speaker. I was used to the crowd and I made some adjustments to the PowerPoint presentation that I've created, and I made it more interactive, and the crowd really liked it. The students enjoyed what I was trying to say, and it was really positive, and I really liked it. I went to the IGG office. I was giving interviews with officials about their perspectives on corruption and my campaign in general. The officials appreciated what I was trying to do.
It has to have this government cuts. You can say there was a time when people when somebody makes a requisition here, the person who approves is in another room, and another one who actually purchases.
Corruption is a crime, and under the laws of Uganda, Arts and Bachelor of Arts and Education.
Middle years program.
Middle years program.
Yes, sir. It's equivalent to what?
Colleagues. So that's what we shift by. What?
Do you feel the youth should be sensitized about corruption from the very beginning?
From the very beginning.
Giving me the accolade, Integrity Ambassador. I got this from the Director of Education who works in the institution. He gave it to me because he felt what I was doing was spreading a message that the youth really need to hear in terms of integrity, their values, what they believe in. So he gave me this accolade. Then I talked to the both deputy IGGs.
So this campaign is so important because it is part of the awareness campaign that we have to engage. Yesterday, the population statistics were published, and they were saying 56% of the Ugandans are under 18 years of age. That's a huge number. 75% are under 30 years of age. So really, all our efforts should be being focused on what Imran is doing.
Today, he's an ambassador of the Inspectorate of Government. The moment he goes and expounds on the information, the little information really I've given him, because we have a lot we could offer to him, and we will try to remain in touch with him so that he can propagate the very values we have been talking about. As I see the future of this country, the future of any country, rests in the hands of the youth.
I was humbled by what they told me, and it gave me an inner drive to make the campaign bigger. Because if I was able to impress people in such big offices, you know, I felt like I could impress everybody in general. This really helped my confidence.
I think his project is a great project. I've not seen any of its kind. I've been dealing with many young people, including those who are slightly older than him. This project is wonderful because to see a young man having such an idea to work on such a project alone, that in itself is a plus for him.
So this project must be supported. It's a great project. It targets the generation that constitutes the biggest number of people in the country, and many of them are people of the future.
I'm happy that this young man has come up with this project, and I think he deserves the support of everybody who believes in the greatness of this country.
Tomorrow. How many of you have heard? After the IGG's office, I went to Chibuli High School. At Chibuli, I had already presented in Nubiri and Kaboa, so this was supposed to be my first top flight presentation. It went really well. The students gave me a great audience. They appreciated the wristbands. They appreciated the message in general. They loved what I was saying. This is a major problem because if you think about it, this money could be used in positive ways instead of just disappearing out of the blue. Imagine if they capitalized on this money by investing in making facilities that cater for different talents we have as the youth. Imagine they use the money to build soccer academies, maybe to cater the football players in our community, or to make facilities that cater for entertainers, like people who are good at singing, or people who are gifted in terms of acting, And it can also help us in terms of building social services around the country, like hospitals, schools, different facilities in general,
They are the ones setting the laws, and then at the same time they are the corrupt ones, and at the same time they are the ones in power. So it doesn't work.
If Sir Apollo Kagwa signed the argument because of 100 cows, I think he was not intended to serve the Uganda, as he wanted to fulfill, to have his satisfaction.
Car is more expensive than a salary he receives. There is no way he's going to keep that kind of good working conditions unless he goes on and embezzles funds.
I think we should introduce the students to leadership from the grassroots, and those are the schools, so that they reach the positions of high office when they already know what to do.
I think it has been a very good campaign. This is the thing that we youth need to do. We need to fight corruption. We in Chibuli, I think, we are going to form an anti-corruption club.
I do commend his efforts, and I hope that he can impact the future leaders of this country to rise to the occasion and serve this country in a corrupt-free society. unless and until we train our youths to realize that corruption has become a big menace to our society, Uganda as a country is not going to develop.
As leaders of tomorrow, it's a priority to make sure we have a nation free of corruption. Yeah? Because the generation now, with the adults in power now, have suffered greatly because of corruption. So maybe when we're older and we're in the place they're in, if we have a country free of corruption, it will be easier to develop Uganda. I think my highlight was in Abisunta Secondary School. The girls loved the presentation. They contributed so much towards it.
I think the cause of corruption is job insecurity. In situations where, like, I'm about to be fired in a job, I decide to steal money because I know I'm about to be fired and take that opportunity.
Corruption is caused by low levels of accountability.
Corruption mainly takes place among the people in the high public offices, that's majorly the rich. They want to keep growing richer and richer.
I believe the government should promote projects such as yours of youth awareness throughout the whole country.
I think that the agencies that are meant to supervise the government, like the IGG, should do serious work.
I think that in every school, it should be like, they should introduce clubs that fight against corruption, maybe like anti-corruption, the anti-corruption club.
We should fully expose the corrupt people. The way forward we should put as the youth is by doing exactly what you're doing. If we keep going to fellow youth and telling them about the evils of corruption,
I think we can also organize like peaceful demonstrations whereby we move on streets, like holding postcards, talking about like that one. Yeah. And then you like some about flyers to people, like with some music, and talking about it, to state their place somewhere, talking about corruption, yeah, and about its evils.
We should pray harder. Pray until something happens. We have tried all that, now let's trust in God. Pray as I use.
At the end of the presentation, they already wanted to join the movement, talk on the Facebook page. They were so hyped up for the presentation. It also helped my confidence as a speaker. Generally, as individuals, they're very bright girls, so convincing them about a cause this important wasn't that difficult.
I really liked the theme. Just like he said at the beginning, we lose a lot of money. Everything revolves around corruption. What's the low standard of living, the poverty, the suffering, everything revolves around corruption because of the big sums of money that we lose. So if we keep doing what he's doing, corruption will be done away with and we shall have a corrupt-free environment full of joy.
Today we were visited by Imran Mbowa, a student of the Aga Khan Academy, and he talked to us about corruption, how we can prevent it and what causes it. I believe that corruption is one of the reasons our country is underdeveloped, and I believe we as the youth have the power in us to eradicate this corruption. We should form clubs as the youth to eradicate this vice in our country, because these clubs will help sensitize our fellows about how we can encourage us to rise against this vice corruption. The government of this country should fund activities and projects such as Imran's to create awareness across the whole country about corruption through making clubs in schools, funding clubs in schools to create clubs and other projects against corruption.
Guys, it wasn't the best presentation. The presentation I wanted to give was on the laptop that had crashed at that specific time, so I had to give up a backup presentation, which the audience didn't really connect with, but I persevered. I got some good feedback from them. actions when people like lose their integrity. Then the elephant caters for two definitions: grand and political corruption. The definitions are rather big, so I'm gonna summarize them both. It involves when someone abuses or manipulates policies or rules that are supposed to govern a specific place. This policies or rules involves money or any power that they have or responsibility for themselves. This is what generally the leaders on top of the elephant are doing.
If we have integrity, I guess corruption is quite out.
Despite the sensitization, there will obviously be cases of when people do, like the illustrations you gave us on corruption at youth state, cheating, things like that. So I think at also school level, there should be really heavy punishment even for things like that, so that as people grow, they know that you're not supposed to do particular things because of that one punishment they got back then.
The audience was a little bit young, per se, so they couldn't really appreciate the message as much, but they were able to understand what the leader was trying to say. And I appreciated that too.
I think it's quite inspiring that he has been able to take the initiative, because there are very few people who would actually bother with this, but he has taken the initiative and put the effort to send the message across, and I believe that more people should pick an example from him.
I believe that as young people, what we should do towards the fight for corruption is to generally sensitize each and every single one of ourselves in this thing that we call corruption, because as a vice, it has to be killed from the root and not from the stem, whereby the people who are said to be corrupt in our country are old, but if we're going to kill this vice, we have to do it from this stage in our lives. We have to tell everyone about it, so we have to spread the word.
I believe that to fight this vice, we need to be sensitized. We need to be sensitized at a large scale, because telling small groups of the youth does not help it when we are one large unit. So I believe that we should all be told as one and fight it as one.
Also, I believe we can form clubs in our schools. We can form groups where we speak out about corruption, where we put posters up to sensitize people about corruption, where we front things in churches, where we interact with other people on this thing that we call corruption, where people can share their stories and get to know what corruption actually is. We could have mentor walks about corruption, where we go out into the community and we talk to the people around, even in local languages, so that everyone gets to know about corruption. We talk to them, and yes, so I generally do believe that the only way to fight corruption is mass sensitization. Punishment of it at a young level through things like theft or cheating should be highly punished, so that the people know that it's a very punishable offense, so as not to commit it at a higher stage.
So you guys have given me your opinion as students, so I'm going to give you my opinion as a student too on what I found about corruption. So the first definition, the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. This highlights the definition that most of you mentioned. This is a definition that you find in public office. It deals with government officials, politicians, CEOs, But then the second definition is the interesting one. So the second definition highlights corruption that we don't notice on a daily basis or we don't see. This is like corruption that happens among us. This talks about compromising one's integrity or principles in order to achieve something through a shortcut.
I believe the solution to corruption would be to watch how we interact with people, what we're doing in our time, how we're raising ourselves up, what morals we're instilling, what vices we're avoiding.
Good, it was my final presentation. They helped me understand the idea that making a club would be a little bit too hard, or the dealings with administration be too much. So maybe I should try and make it more of a movement with different clubs, or combine the clubs together, putting the movement's name under both of them. Patriotism, Interact, Scouting, all of them, which I really appreciate from Budo.
What I know about this campaign, about the Integrity for Future Leaders by Imran Mbowa, it's a very good thing. It's helping youth stand. It's helping youth know what is wrong and what is right. It's helping give them direction of where to go to in future. So we know that wherever we may be led to stand, where we may work in future, is to make an impact and stop corruption as a vice.
That is why this campaign is extremely useful, because it is training the future leaders of this country. Now, by the future leaders, that is even more important, because that is where the country is going. Maybe the past could have been wrong, but we can rectify the future.
As youth today, we face the challenge of corruption, both at home, at school, wherever we may be. But what I know about this is that in ourselves, we should stand for who we are. We should have integrity. We should know that we are the role models of tomorrow. We are the people in whom the future of the nation lies. It's in our hands that God has entrusted our nation. So if we know who we are and what we stand for, that is how we can curb the vice of corruption in our country, in our nation, wherever we are. If we stand for integrity, if we stand for the truth, if we know where God has placed us and how we can make an impact there, that is how corruption will be eliminated.
Corruption starts with our compromising of our very own integrity. So it all leads down back to the genesis of us ourselves. The fight itself should start with us. It doesn't start with creating up all the campaigns. It starts with you individually, because we are going to be entrusted in 2 offices and you have to make decisions that no one will ever know about. So it comes back down to your personal integrity. Then the rest can come up as we move on. I've been inspired by this campaign. As a matter of fact, I'm planning on setting up one of my own to move around and spread the gospel.
You have 10 children are all going for school at the same time. Who's on a board? If she's coming from one morning and they say Imran took a bribe of 500 million shillings.
A bonus point for the project was that I was able to attract attention from the media. So I had an interview with a TV presenter from Urban TV with the names of Mr. Edmund Safali. He has a program on Urban TV called 30 Minutes with Edmund. So the basic idea of the program is to bring out things, motivational things, and he thought that my project was very motivational in terms of what he brings out through his program. So he wanted to interview me to understand what exactly happened, how I perceived the project, the events that occurred during the project's process.
Has the show ever received any haters?
My show? Not yet. But personally, as a person, I have.
He gave me some ideas to how I could approach an audience, and I really appreciated his contribution to the campaign and the media attention he was able to give me and the campaign in general. I feel like I've gained so much experience from the campaign. Before the campaign, I felt that I was a simple-minded teenage boy, with the dream for a better country in general. I had ambitions for the country and I didn't know how to express them necessarily. So when I came up with the idea for the campaign, I saw it was a way to put my aspirations and my ambitions into it. And as the campaign developed, I think I've matured in terms of thinking and how I analyze situations. It's bettered me as a person, from being a simple-minded teenage boy to an experienced young man.
This campaign needs to be taken further from high school to universities, such that the fabric of the new student leadership, the new youth leadership, is aware of what corruption has done to this nation. One of the statistics that Imran shared showed that annually the country is losing to the tune of 769 billion through corruption. Just imagine how much this can do to develop this country in terms of social infrastructure and social amenities.
I really want the campaign to push me as I grow. It's really affected how I think, my character as a person, and my interactions with different individuals. While I was in Kenya, I felt separate from the country, and I really missed Uganda in general. So as the campaign, it enabled me to connect with people my age in the schools that are well known around the country and in Kampala in general. And I really appreciate what the campaign has given me.
I'm impressed, I encourage him, and I think it's a campaign that should go nationwide, such that all the youth can be sensitized about corruption.
I really thank the researcher Imran Mbowa for the work well done. It's an eye-opener to us as teachers to see the different levels of corruption in school and how we can join hands to overcome them. We think it would be ideal to maintain this program in school. I've been able to talk to the young people who attended this awareness campaign, and they feel it would be ideal to have a club within which the same message would be disseminated not only to the young people in school, but also to the wider community when we release them to go back to their holidays.
I wish we could have many of these type, because he simply complements what we have been doing.
I feel I've started something that can turn into something very big, something very grand. If you looked at the audience today at Budo, the ideas that were just popping up from the students, as soon as because I gave them a base to think, to let their creativity roll out. Now they're thinking of bringing out the movement to their respective clubs, having MDDs, having sports tournaments about it. I've impressed officials with the idea, I've impressed teachers with the idea. So I have positive feedback from both adults and teenagers. So I think if everything goes well, ideally I want to take the campaign past Uganda. I had a student at one of my schools, Kabua High School. She was half Sudanese and half Kenyan, and she appealed to me to bring the campaign to her respective countries. And I said, in order for me to do this, I have to establish this in Uganda so that we can grow it in East Africa in general. I created a Facebook page that highlighted the message. It was entitled POF. This abbreviated the theme of the campaign, which is preserving the integrity of future leaders. Then I created a hashtag on Instagram. The hashtag, I didn't necessarily have to create a page for it. It's just something, a hashtag, and then the abbreviation POF, for them to spread pictures or anything they want to talk about on Instagram from what they think about the campaign. The hashtag also spread it to Twitter for the people in the audience that use Twitter in general to tweet about how they felt about the campaign message in general, and the overall contribution. In terms of my skills, communication and skills in terms of social skills in general, interacting with people. Through the campaign, I've seen what pulls people towards something and what keeps them as bystanders. If you want them to be pioneers to a motion, the specific things you have to do in order to entice them about the message you're trying to give them. That's one thing I've learned in terms of my communication. Another is in terms of my organization. With a campaign, there are a lot of logistics that you have to deal with, the banner, the PA system, the projector, having the PowerPoint intact. This has really helped my organization skills, because initially I used to have issues in terms of maybe I bring equipment, then I miss an essential part of it. Like once I brought the projector, but I didn't have its power cable, so I had to ask for the school's power cable. I went to Gayaza, my laptop had an issue, and I had to use a backup presentation, which I hadn't initially opted for. So this has really set a specific way, set something into my character, that in order for something to go the way you want it to, you have to prepare for it. You have to organize how you want it to go, You have to put in that time for it in order for it to roll out perfectly. I've realized that I have I've been told this by some people that they feel that I should pursue a career in terms of arts because of what I've been able to do, my ability to communicate to people and to convince them. I like to keep my options wide for now because I'm still young and I haven't necessarily finished high school, but from my role models and from what I like to do, I think I'll go with an arts sort of perspective, maybe law, maybe finance, economics. Any of those careers are really on the table right now. And in terms of my characteristics I mentioned earlier on, I think I've matured in terms of the way I think and the way I assess situations. Like, this campaign's really helped me to analyze the bigger picture, you know, what happens outside where I am and how it affects my environment. I've mentioned it a little in terms of organization. I was new to the campaign process, so of course there were some faults here and there. I realized with minor things like the fact that I had to use a backup presentation at Gayaza, I wasn't able to entice the audience as much as I wanted to, as some of the past schools. This affected my confidence as a speaker, but I was able to persevere and realize the specific things you have to do in order to have a perfect presentation or to get the audience to absorb the message. And I think that was the main challenge, letting minor things affect the campaign process. The students' feedback was the best because I felt that, you know, I initially thought maybe I'd be too informative for them, maybe they wouldn't appreciate it because, you know, at this age you really fend for yourself per se. What you like is what you pursue. So me being able to change their mindset on corruption and their country in general really helped me and really made me happy as a person. There were some schools that were asking for my contact to follow up on the message. They were asking for pictures. They were asking to, you know, they were really moved by it. They wanted to start on it immediately, you know, like I'd started some sort of change or evolution in their minds, and it really made me happy as a person, and I can't wait to see more of that in the future. I want to see the message grow past. I want to see people, like, as an aspiration, I want to see people have campaigns like I have, but not in Kampala. Other districts all over Uganda, Jinja, Kasese, Bara, Tororo, all over the country. Not particularly me, all sorts of correspondence. This would make me very proud as a person, and it would make me feel that I've done something great for the country. If all sorts of correspondence arise from the campaign and it spread that way. Maybe even convince that same girl who wanted to spread it to her country, find her presenting a similar campaign in Sudan, you know, Juba, so it would be great.